My name is Sarah. I am 29 years old. I am married. My husband's name is David. He is 35 years old. We live in a small, comfortable house. David is a good man. He works very hard every day. For a long time, everything felt normal here. Life was simple and calm. Then things began to change slowly. It started with our neighbor. Her name is Elena. She lives in the house next to ours. I started to notice Elena often. It felt like she was always at her window. She watched me from behind the glass. It was a strange feeling. Elena never smiled. Her face was always serious. She never said hello. She never spoke a single word to me. She only watched. Her eyes were always on me. I felt a little scared. I did not understand why she watched me so much. Was it normal for neighbors to stare like this? I did not think so. One afternoon, I was hanging clothes outside in the garden. I turned around slowly. Elena was at her window, watching me. It was too much. I could not breathe. I hurried back into my house, my heart beating very fast. Later that evening, David came home from work. He asked about my day. I decided to tell him about the neighbor. I said, "David, she is always watching me. Every time I go outside, Elena is there." David smiled. He said, "Sarah, my love, you are imagining things. Maybe she just likes looking out her window." He thought I was being silly. I said, "No, David, I am not imagining it. It is real. She watches me all the time. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Sometimes I feel like I cannot breathe." David kissed my forehead. He said, "Sarah, you worry too much. There is nothing to be afraid of. She is just an old neighbor." He did not understand. He could not see it from my side, but I knew I was right. I wanted to show David the truth. I needed him to see Elena. Every morning I tried. I said, "Look, David, she is there." I pointed to Elena's window. David came quickly and looked out, but every time the window was empty. Elena was never there. As soon as David came near, she would disappear. David turned to me and said, "Sweetheart, there is no one there. Please don't worry so much." But I worried more. David did not believe me. I felt very alone. I wanted my old, quiet life back. I wanted to feel safe in my own home. I needed proof. I needed to take a picture of Elena to show David the truth. So the next morning, I woke up early. I put my phone near the window. I saw her. I pressed the button. Click. I took the phone and looked at the screen. The photo was there. Elena's face was clearly in her window. This was the proof. "David, look," I said. He was at the breakfast table. I held out the phone to him. David looked at the picture. His face changed. He said, "Is that her?" I said, "Yes." David stood up. He put his hand on my arm. He said, "Sarah, I am sorry. I did not believe you." He looked at the neighbor's window, then back at the phone. He looked scared. He said, "Stay close to me." After a moment, David said, "I need to go over there. I need to talk to her." I froze. My husband walked to the front door and opened it. I watched him go. I stood by our window. He went to Elena's house. There were no lights on. He knocked on her door. No one answered. No sound came from inside. David knocked again. Still nothing. David looked into the windows. There was no sign that anyone lived there. No clothes, no chairs, no table. David came back to our house. His face was pale. He looked terrified. He said, "Sarah, there is no one there." I was confused. I said, "What do you mean? Elena lives there. We saw her today. I took a picture." David shook his head. He said, "No, Sarah. I asked some people on the street. That house has been empty for many years. Nobody lives there. It's just an empty house. My heart stopped. An empty house? But I had seen Elena every day. The photo on my phone showed her face clearly. How could this be true? It felt like I was losing my mind. The next morning, I decided to find the truth myself. I walked quickly to the town office. A kind woman sat at a desk. I asked the woman about the house next door. I gave her the address. She checked her computer. The woman came back with an official paper. The paper said the house was empty. It had been empty for 5 years. My hands started shaking. My whole body felt cold. There was no Elena. There was no neighbor watching me. It made no sense. I quickly took out my phone. I opened the photo I had taken of Elena's face. But now there was no face at all. Only an empty window. No woman stood there. I stared at the screen in shock. After that day, I saw shadows move in my house. David saw my fear. He was worried for me and for himself. He said, "Sarah, we must leave. We need to move away from here. We can start a new life somewhere else." He hoped a new home would make me safe, but I knew moving would not help. Elena was not a person in a house. Elena was something else. I knew I would never be free. If we moved to a new city or country, it would not matter. The watching would never stop. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, my eyes look different. They look exactly like Elena's eyes. I understand now. Elena was not a neighbor. Elena was inside me. The watching never ended. It was always there. Every time I was alone, I felt it. Even with David, I felt it. She was always watching. The fear was a part of me now.